An Irish housewife is at home, being a homemaker, while her husband is away working at the Guinness factory when she hears a knock on the door. Upon answering the door, she sees it is two of her husband's friends and co-workers. "Mary," says the first co-worker, "I'm afraid we have some terrible news. You see, there was an accident at the factory today, and your husband fell into a vat of the Guinness." "My God!" exclaims Mary. "Will he be all right? How badly is he hurt?" "Well," says the co-worker, "the fact is, Mary, he didn't make it. He drowned." "No," sobs Mary. "Please, tell me it was at least a quick death, and painless?" "Well, you see, the thing of it is, Mary, he got out 3 times to pee." The farmer's wife went into a coma at home, and he summoned the doctor. "She's gone," said the doc, after examining the woman. "I'm very sorry. I'll call the funeral home for you." The morticians carried the body down the porch steps and started to round the corner of the house into the driveway when the lead bearer suddenly lurched to avoid a holly bush, lost his balance, and dropped his end of the stretcher. The jolt brought the woman back to consciousness. In a week, she'd made a full recovery and was back at the farm. Several years later, she went into a coma again. This time, the doctor sadly assured her husband she was unquestionably dead. The undertakers were summoned. As the stretcher-bearers inched down the steps and headed for the driveway with the corpse, the farmer cautioned, "Watch out for that holly bush." "Doctor, how do you identify a mental deficiency in someone who seems completely normal so?" Bob asked. "It's quite simple," the doctor replied. "You pose an easy question that anyone should be able to answer effortlessly. If they hesitate, it raises suspicion." "What kind of question?" Bob inquired. "For example," the doctor said, "you might ask, Captain Cook embarked on 3 voyages around the world and died on one of them. Which one?" Bob paused, then chuckled nervously. "Do you have another example? I have to admit, history isn't my strong suit." A lawyer's wife died. At her grave, everyone was appalled. The tombstone read, "Here lies Phyllis, wife of attorney Murray Williams, specializes in divorce and malpractice." Murray burst into tears. His brother said, "You should cry, pulling a cheap publicity stunt like this." Murray said, "You don't understand. I gave them my business card." His brother apologized, and they didn't include the phone number. A wife yells at her husband, "Wife, how could you do this to me?" Husband, "What did I do?" Wife, "You slept with my sister, you b****." Husband, "Well, when I went to work, she was lying on my table and you know she's an attractive woman. What did you expect me to do?" Wife, "The autopsy." The judge asked the woman what she stole. She replied, "I stole a can of peaches." The judge then asked, "How many peaches were in the can?" "6," replied the woman. After consideration, the judge decided to sentence her 1 night of prison for every peach she stole. 6 nights total. At this moment, the woman felt helpless, bawling her eyes out. She didn't know what to do, and before the judge smacked the mallet down to make it final, her husband entered into the courtroom and yelled, "Your Honor, wait!" The judge froze and listened to what the husband wanted to say. "She also stole a can of peas." Her. Have you ever seen $20 all crumpled up? Him. No, said her husband. She gave him a little smile, unbuttoned the top 3 buttons of her blouse, and slowly reached down in her cleavage, created by a soft, and pulled out a crumpled $20 bill. He took the crumpled $20 bill from her and smiled approvingly. She then asked, have you ever seen $50 all crumpled up? No, I haven't, he said with an anxious tone in his voice. She gave him another little smile, pulled up her skirt, seductively reached into her tight, and pulled out a crumpled $50 bill. He took the crumpled $50 bill and started breathing a little quicker with anticipation. Now, she said, have you ever seen $50,000 all crumpled up? No way, he said, becoming even more aroused and excited, to which she replied, go look in the garage. Tom finally decided to tie the knot with his longtime girlfriend. One evening, after the honeymoon, he was cleaning one of his hot rods for an upcoming show. His wife was standing there at the bench watching him. After a long period of silence, she finally speaks. Honey, I've just been thinking, now that we are married, maybe it's time you quit spending all your time out here in the garage, and you probably should just consider selling all your cars. Tom gets this horrified look on his face. She says, darling, what's wrong? There for a minute, you were starting to sound like my ex-wife. Ex-wife, she screams. You never told me you were married before. Tom's reply, I wasn't. A couple take in a beautiful young lady as a lodger. She asked if she could have a bath, but the woman of the house told her they didn't have a bath. But if she wanted to, she could use a tin bath in front of the fire. Monday's the best night. When my husband goes out to darts, she said. The girl agreed to have a bath the following Monday. After her husband had gone to the pub for his darts match, the woman filled the bath and watched the girl get undressed. She was surprised to see that the lass didn't have any pubic hair. She mentioned this to her husband when he came home. He didn't believe her, so she said, next Monday, don't go to darts. I'll leave a gap in the curtains so you can see for yourself. So the following Monday, while the girl again got undressed, the wife asked, do you shave? No, replied the girl. I've just never grown any hairs down there. Do you have hair? Oh, yes, said the woman, and she showed the girl that indeed she was far from hairless. When the girl went to bed, the husband came in, and the wife asked, did you see it? Yes, he said, but why the hell did you have to show her yours? Why not? She said. You've seen it before. I know, he said, but the darts team hadn't. A young, good-looking woman married an old man. The marriage was pretty good except for the bedroom. The old man just couldn't please her. One day they decided to go to the doctor. The woman told the doctor, no matter how long or often we try, he just can't please me. The doctor said, I have a solution for your problem. You guys have to find a younger man and take him with you into the bedroom. The old man was a little angry. What the hell is the young man supposed to do? He asked. The doctor replied, the younger man will wave towel at your wife while you guys are in. So they found a young good-looking guy who was willing to wave a towel at the old man's wife while he was trying to please her. They tried over and over, but he still couldn't please his wife. After many tries, his wife suggested to swap the men's roles. The old man wasn't very happy about it, but agreed. So the young guy got on his wife. The old man waved the towel at his wife and watched them. After a minute, his wife was finally pleased, and the old guy told the young man, this is how you're supposed to wave the towel, you moron. A couple rushed into town hall just as it was about to close and caught a judge on his way out. Breathless, they asked if he could marry them. "Do you have a license?" the judge asked. When they admitted they didn't, he sent them to the town clerk. They managed to catch the clerk just as he was locking up and quickly secured a license. Back at the judge's office, he examined the document and frowned. "You've filled in your names backwards. His where hers should be, and vice versa." Flustered, they ran back to the clerk, who issued them a corrected license. But when they returned, the judge noticed another problem. The date is in the wrong format. Once again, they sprinted back to the clerk. This back and forth continued through 5 revisions until at last the judge was satisfied. "I hope you understand why I made you keep going back," he said. "If the license contains errors, your marriage wouldn't be legally valid and any children you might have would be considered technical b****." The groom sighed. "That's funny. That's exactly what the clerk called you." A young ensign was nearing the end of his first overseas sea tour when he was given the chance to prove his skills at getting the ship underway. With a series of sharp, commanding orders, he had the deck buzzing with activity. The ship steamed out of the channel, and soon the port was far behind. The ensign's efficiency was impressive. In fact, word quickly spread that he had set a new record for getting a destroyer underway. Proud of his accomplishment, the ensign was hardly surprised when a seaman approached him with a message from the captain. However, he was taken aback to find it was a radio message, and even more surprised when he read, "My personal congratulations on completing your underway preparation exercise swiftly and according to the book. However, in your haste, you overlooked one unwritten rule. Make sure the captain is aboard before getting underway." A musical director was struggling with a drummer who just couldn't get it right. Despite countless conversations and guidance, the drummer's performance never improved. Finally, in front of the entire orchestra, the director said, "When a musician can't master their instrument and fails to improve despite help, they take the instrument away, hand them 2 sticks, and make them a drummer." From the percussion section, a stage whisper followed, "And if that's still too much, they take away 1 stick and make him a conductor." 3 sisters were getting married within a short period, and their mother, feeling a bit concerned about their honeymoon experiences, made them promise to send a postcard with just a few words describing how their marital intimacy was going. A few days after the first daughter's wedding, a postcard arrived from Hawaii. It had just 1 word, Nescafe. Perplexed, Mom went to the kitchen, grabbed the Nescafe jar, and read the label, "Good till the last drop." She turned red, but was happy for her daughter. A week later, the second daughter's postcard arrived from Vermont. It read, "Benson and Hedges." This time, Mom went straight to her husband's cigarette pack and read, "Extra long, king size." She blushed again, but felt relieved. The third daughter left for the Caribbean, but no postcard came. A week passed, then 2, then a whole month. Finally, a postcard arrived with shaky handwriting that simply said, "British Airways." Panicked, Mom flipped through her Harper's Bazaar magazine, searching for the airline's latest ad. When she found it, her eyes widened and she fainted. The Super Bowl has always been a stage for unforgettable moments, but few can match the hilarity of the left shark incident during Super Bowl Twizzler Inc.'s halftime show. In 2015, pop star Katy Perry delivered a vibrant performance, but it was one of her backup dancers who stole the show and the internet's heart. As Perry sang her hit Teenage Dream, she was flanked by 2 dancers in shark costumes. The right shark executed the choreography flawlessly, but the left shark seemed to be dancing to the beat of its own drum, displaying moves that were delightfully offbeat and out of sync. This unscripted moment quickly went viral, with left shark becoming an internet sensation and spawning countless memes. The dancer behind the mask, Brian Gore, later revealed that his improvisation was intentional, aiming to bring a unique flair to the performance. The left shark episode remains one of the most memorable and humorous moments in Super Bowl history, reminding us that sometimes it's the unexpected surprises that leave the most lasting impressions. When Katie learned that her elderly grandfather had passed away, she hurried to her grandparents' house to comfort her 95-year-old grandmother. Wanting to understand what had happened, she gently asked how he had died. With a wistful sigh, her grandmother replied, "He had a heart attack on Sunday morning." Curious, Katie asked what he had been doing at the time. Her grandmother smiled softly. "Well, dear, for years we found that the best way to start our Sunday mornings was in rhythm with the church bells. Their steady chimes set a perfect pace, nice and slow, nothing too strenuous. Just in time with the ding and the dong." She paused, dabbing at a tear before adding with a small shake of her head, "And if that noisy ice cream truck hadn't come along, he'd still be here today." A man and his wife were in the middle of a heated, silent treatment battle, neither willing to be the first to break the silence. The tension had been simmering for days when the man suddenly remembered that he had an important business flight the next morning and needed to wake up at 5 a.m. Determined not to be the one to lose, by speaking first, he scribbled a note on a piece of paper. "Please, wake me at 5 a.m. He left it in a spot where he knew she'd see it. The next morning, the man woke up, only to find it was already 9 a.m. He had missed his flight. Furious, he stormed out of bed, ready to confront his wife about why she hadn't woken him. That's when he spotted a note on her side of the bed. "It's 5 a.m. Wake up." One day, a man was walking through the city when he was approached by a scruffy, disheveled man who asked for a couple of dollars for dinner. The man took out his wallet, pulled out $2, and asked, "If I give you this money, will you spend it on whiskey?" The shabby man shook his head. "No, I stopped drinking years ago." "Will you use it to gamble?" the man continued. "I don't gamble," the stranger replied. "I need every penny just to survive." "How about golf? Will you spend it on greens fees?" the man asked with a smile. "Are you kidding? I haven't played golf in 20 years, the other man exclaimed. The man paused, then said, "Well, I'm not going to give you $2. Instead, I'm going to take you to my home for a terrific dinner cooked by my wife." The scruffy man was shocked. "Won't your wife be upset with you for bringing me home? I'm dirty, and I probably don't smell great." The man grinned and said, "That's all right. I just want her to see what a man who's given up drinking, gambling, and golf looks like." One day, a farmer's wife came out into the field while he was ploughing, and as she began to nag, one of the mules kicked her right in the head, tragically ending her life. After the funeral, the local priest approached the grieving farmer and asked, "I noticed that during the service, whenever a woman offered her condolences, you'd smile and nod in agreement. But when a man spoke to you, you would frown and shake your head no. Why the difference?" The farmer sighed and explained, "Well, father, all the women kept telling me what a wonderful woman my wife was and how beautiful she looked. All I could do was agree." "And what about the men?" the priest inquired. The farmer replied, "They were all asking if I'd be willing to sell them that mule." One sunny morning, A farmer was lounging at the edge of his field next to his donkey when a cyclist rode up and asked, "Excuse me, do you have the correct time? My watch seems to be off." Without hesitation, the farmer reached over to his donkey, lifted its tail for a moment, then said, "It's 25 past 9. The cyclist was taken aback. "Are you sure?" he asked. The farmer nodded confidently, glancing briefly at the donkey once again. Unsure but intrigued, the cyclist adjusted his watch, thanked the farmer, and rode off. A few hours later, as the farmer enjoyed his lunch in the same spot, the same cyclist approached from the opposite direction. "Hello again! Could I bother you for the time once more?" Without missing a beat, the farmer leaned over, lifted the donkey's tail again, and said, "It's 10 past 12. The cyclist checked his watch, and sure enough, it was spot on. Amazed, he asked, "How do you get such accurate time by checking your donkey?" With a smile, the farmer motioned the rider closer, lifted the donkey's tail once more, and pointed to the clock tower just over the hill. A husband and wife were grocery shopping together when the husband casually grabbed a case of Budweiser and tossed it into the cart. "What do you think you're doing?" the wife asked, raising an eyebrow. "It's on sale. Only $10 for the whole case," he replied, hopeful. "We don't need it. Put it back," she said firmly. They kept shopping, and a few aisles later, the wife picked up a $20 jar of face cream and added it to the cart. "What's that for?" the husband asked, slightly annoyed. "It's my face cream. It makes me look beautiful," she said confidently. The husband grinned. "So does the Budweiser, and it's half the price." One winter morning, during breakfast, a husband and wife in northern Minnesota were listening to the radio. They heard the announcer say, "We are going to have 8 to 10 inches of snow today. You must park your car on the even-numbered side of the street so the snowplows can get through." So the good wife went out and moved her car. A week later, while they are eating breakfast again, the radio announcer said, "We are expecting 10 to 12 inches of snow today. You must park your car on the odd-numbered side of the street so the snowplows can get through." The good wife went out and moved her car again. The next week, they were again having breakfast when the radio announcer said, "We are expecting 12 to 14 inches of snow today. You must park." Then the electric power went out. The good wife was very upset, and with a worried look on her face, she said, "Honey, I don't know what to do. Which side of the street do I need to park on so the snowplows can get through?" With the love and understanding in his voice that all men who are married to blondes exhibit, the husband replied, "Why don't you just leave it in the garage this time?" A husband and wife who work for the circus go to an adoption agency looking to adopt a child. But the social workers there raise doubts about their suitability. So the couple produces photos of their 50-foot motorhome, which is clean and well-maintained and equipped with a beautiful nursery. The social workers are satisfied by this, but then raise concerns about the kind of education a child would receive while in the couple's care. The husband puts their mind at ease, saying, "We've arranged for a full-time tutor who will teach the child all the usual subjects, along with French, Mandarin, and computer skills." Next, though, the social workers express concern about a child being raised in a circus environment. This time, the wife explains, "Our nanny is a certified expert in pediatric care, welfare, and diet." The social workers are finally satisfied and ask the couple, "What age child are you hoping to adopt?" The husband says, "It doesn't really matter, as long as the kid fits in the canon." Husband doing crossword with his wife. Husband, emphatic no, 5 letters. Wife, never husband, pistol, 3 letters. Wife, gun husband. Disgust, 3 letters. Wife, oh husband, charity, 4 letters. Wife, give husband, female sheep, 3 letters wife. You, husband, Pixar movie, 2 letters wife. Up. James Bond, ever the suave agent, walks into a bar and casually takes a seat next to an incredibly attractive woman. Glancing her way briefly, he then checks his watch with an air of nonchalance. Noticing his subtle move, the woman raises an eyebrow and asks with a teasing smile, "Is your date running late?" Bond, ever charming, replies, "No, actually. Q just gave me this state-of-the-art watch. I was testing it out." Curious, the woman leans in. "A state-of-the-art watch? What makes it so special?" Bond leans back, his signature smirk appearing. "It uses alpha waves to communicate with me telepathically." With a playful look, she asks, "And what's it telling you now?" Bond pauses for effect. "It says you're not wearing any panties." The woman giggles, shaking her head. "Well, it must be malfunctioning because I definitely am." Without missing a beat, Bond taps his watch and smirks. "Ah, must be an hour fast." A woman was at her hairdresser's getting her hair done for a trip to Rome with her husband. She mentioned the trip to the hairdresser, who immediately responded, "Rome? Why would anyone want to go there? It's crowded, dirty, and overrated. You're crazy to go there." "So how are you getting there?" "We're flying United," she replied. "We got a great deal on the tickets." "United?" the hairdresser scoffed. "That airline's terrible. Their planes are outdated, the flight attendants are rude, and they're always delayed. So where will you be staying in Rome?" "We're staying at this exclusive little hotel by the Tiber River called Taste." "Don't go any further," the hairdresser interrupted. "I know that place. Everyone thinks it's some special spot, but it's really just a dump. We're planning to see the Vatican, and maybe even catch a glimpse of the Pope." "Ha! You and a million other people trying to see him. He'll look like an ant from where you're standing. Good luck with that disaster of a trip. You'll need it." A month later, the woman returned for another hair appointment. The hairdresser eagerly asked about her trip. "It was amazing," the woman replied. "Not only did we fly on one of United's brand new planes, but it was overbooked. So they bumped us up to first class. The food was great and the service was fantastic. We had this handsome 28-year-old steward who catered to us the whole way. And the Taste Hotel was incredible. They just completed a $5 million renovation, and now it's a real gem. We were lucky. They were overbooked, so they upgraded us to the owner's suite at no extra charge." "Well," the hairdresser muttered, "I'm glad it went well, but I know you didn't get to see the Pope." "Actually, we were lucky," the woman continued. "While we were touring the Vatican, a Swiss guard tapped me on the shoulder and said that the Pope likes to meet a few visitors. He asked me to step into a private room to wait, and 5 minutes later, the Pope walked in and shook my hand." "Really? What did he say?" The woman smiled and said, "He looked at me, paused for a moment, and then asked, 'Who screwed up your hair?'" An elderly man encounters a younger man who asks, "Do you remember me?" The old man replies, "I'm afraid I don't." The young man smiles and says, "I was your student." Curious, the old man asks, So what do you do now? The young man responds, I became a teacher. Ah, how wonderful, says the old man. Just like me. Yes, exactly. I became a teacher because you inspired me, the young man explains. Intrigued, the old man asks, what made you decide to become a teacher? The young man pauses for a moment, then shares his story. One day, a friend of mine, also a student, came to school wearing a new watch. I really wanted it, so I stole it from his pocket. The old man listens closely, his expression unchanged as the young man continues. Soon after, my friend noticed the watch was gone and reported it to you, our teacher. You told the class, a watch was stolen today during class. Whoever took it, please return it. The young man goes on. I didn't want to return the watch, but then you did something that I'll never forget. You closed the door and asked us to stand in a circle. You said you were going to search our pockets, one by one, until you found the watch. But you told us to close our eyes as you did it. I remember, says the old man quietly. We followed your instructions. The young man continues. You went through everyone's pockets. When you reached mine, you found the watch, took it, and kept searching everyone's pockets. When you were done, you said, open your eyes, here's the watch. The young man pauses for a moment, his voice softening. You never called me out. You never told anyone who stole it, or even scolded me. You simply handled the situation without embarrassing me. That was the most shameful moment of my life, but also the day I decided never to be a thief again. It was your silent lesson that taught me the most important thing I needed to learn. The young man looks at the old teacher with deep gratitude. Do you remember that day, Professor? The old teacher smiles and replies, Yes, I remember the situation with the stolen watch and searching everyone's pockets. But I didn't remember you specifically, because I also closed my eyes during the search. The young man, moved by his words, nods in understanding. The old teacher adds, This is the essence of teaching. If to correct you must humiliate, then you don't truly know how to teach.